paid by an employer $20 an hour, the following statement must be true. During that hour, your labor produces more for the employer that he sells at the end of the day than $20. If paying you $20, you went to work and you did an output that gave another $20 for him to sell.
So the first problem with Wolfe's analysis here is that there is no worth of labor. There's no value, exact value of labor. Value is subjective. So my labor might be worth more than $20 an hour to a businessman, but it's worth less than $20 to me. Maybe I'm broke or I don't have that much money, so I really place a lot of importance on getting some money as opposed to having more free time. So it's this subjective nature of value that allows trade to be mutually beneficial. Both parties benefit from an exchange, contra Aristotle, who thought that people would only trade if the values of what they were exchanging were the same. And I think Marx maybe falls down that same path. But no, people benefit from trade, or they expect to benefit from trade, and they're almost always right in that expectation because they have a lifetimes of experience in terms of dealing with things that benefit them or don't benefit them. The other thing is that with the whole productive process, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. So the labor, along with the capital, along with the business connections, the deals, everything set in place, you're going to end up with more when you combine all that than if you just looked at the constituent parts. It's like if you have some tomatoes and a piece of bread, and some olive oil or whatever on their own, those things are fine, but you combine them. You chop up the tomatoes, you make a nice bruschetta sandwich with salt and olive oil and a little fresh basil. The little fresh basil in and of itself, it's nothing, but you mix that with all the ingredients and suddenly you have something really phenomenal. The other thing is that this is a really bad attitude, and just in terms of like a practical, the ethics of this philosophy and how it relates to your day-to-day life. It's an attitude of resentment and bitterness. And if you really thought about it, you say, well, I'm not going to get ripped off by my boss. I'm going to quit my job, but then you're just unemployed, and you have to explain to potential employers, what happened and why there's this gap in your resume or whatever. So a better attitude is simply to try to find the highest paying job you can. Look around what's on the market. Whoever will pay you the highest, go for that, or at least find a job which has the best ratio of pay to disutility. Every job pretty much has a sort of a disutility. You hate it, or you dislike it to some degree, but you like being able to pay your bills. So you find one that's the most tolerable for the amount of money you're getting paid. The other thing is, so this is the Marxist view of how profit is made, is that basically the capitalist, the businessman, the employer, they sort of rob the worker of their just share of remuneration for their labor. The reality is that profits are actually obtained through doing a better job of forecasting consumer demand than your competition. So, another thing too is time preference, okay? So, workers are generally high time preference. Often, you're living paycheck to paycheck. You need your money now, You need your money so you pay your bills, you pay your rent, you're not going to get kicked out. You can buy some food for your kids, whatever, they need new clothes. You need stuff now, You're not so interested in stuff 6 months, 12 months from now. We'll burn that bridge when we get there, But for the businessman, the entrepreneur, they're willing to hold off on getting paid now, and they're willing to spend some money now for a greater return in the future. So that's another way in which they're not equal. Um, the the time preference or the and also the entrepreneur, the businessman, is taking a lot of risk here because they don't even know if they're going to get paid, right? They might end up losing money on the deal. They're hoping to get paid, but they're dealing with the future. The future's uncertain. They're trying to forecast consumer demand and say this is what people want to buy, and maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, you know. So that's another reason why they deserve some of that share of the workers' production or share of their wage or whatever, because they're taking a risk, they're fronting the cash now, they're going to get their return in the future, and money today is worth more than money in the future. So those are just a few other problems I have with the Marxist analysis of wages, of profits. I think it's a value. I think it's fundamentally unsound, inaccurate, and also deleterious when employed in terms of your own life and as a philosophy.